Darkling, blindly. Darwinism, the doctrine that natural selection has been the prime cause of evolution of higher forms. Dastard, a base coward. Datum, a premise, starting point, or given fact. Dauntless, fearless. Daemon, a day laborer. Dead heat, a race in which two or more competitors come out even and there is no winner. Dearth, scarcity as of something customary, essential, or desirable. Death's head, a human skull as a symbol of death. Debase, to lower in character or virtue. Debatable, subject to contention or dispute. Debonair, having gentle or courteous bearing or manner. Debut, a first appearance in society or on the stage. Decagon, a figure with 10 sides and 10 angles. Decagram, a weight of 10 grams. Decaliter, a liquid and dry measure of 10 liters. Decalogue, the 10 Commandments. Decent, characterized by propriety of conduct, speech, manners, or dress. Hardly legible. Decisive, conclusive. Declamation, a speech recited or intended for recitation from memory in public. Declamatory, a full and formal style of utterance. Declarative, containing a formal, positive, or explicit statement or affirmation. Declension, the change of endings in nouns and adjectives to express their different relations of gender. Decorate, to embellish. Decorous, suitable for the occasion or circumstances. Decoy, anything that allures or is intended to allure into danger or temptation. Decrepit, enfeebled as by old age or some chronic infirmity. Dedication, the voluntary consecration or relinquishment of something to an end or cause. Deduce, to derive or draw as a conclusion by reasoning from given premises or principles. Deface, to mar or disfigure the face or external surface of. Defalcate, to cut off or take away as a part of something. Defamation, malicious and groundless injury done to the reputation or good name of another. Defame, to slander. Default, the neglect or omission of a legal requirement. Defendant, a person against whom a suit is brought. Defensible, capable of being maintained or justified. Defensive, carried on in resistance to aggression. Defer, to delay or put off to some other time. Deference, respectful submission or yielding as to another's opinion, wishes, or judgment. Defiant, characterized by bold or insolent opposition. Deficiency, lack or insufficiency. Deficient, not having an adequate or proper supply or amount. Definite, having an exact signification or positive meaning. Deflect, to cause to turn aside or downward. Deforest, to clear of forests. Deform, to disfigure. Deformity, a disfigurement. Defraud, to deprive of something dishonestly. Defray, to make payment for. Degeneracy, a becoming worse. Degenerate, to become worse or inferior. Degradation, diminution as of strength or magnitude. Degrade, to take away honors or position from. Dehydrate, to deprive of water. Deify, to regard or worship as a god. Deign, to deem worthy of notice or account. Deist, one who believes in God but denies supernatural revelation. Deity, a god, goddess, or divine person. Deject, to dishearten. Dejection, melancholy. Delectable, delightful to the taste or to the senses. Delectation, a delight. Deleterious, hurtful morally or physically. Delicacy, that which is agreeable to a fine taste. Delineate, to represent by sketch or diagram. Deliquesce, to dissolve gradually and become liquid by absorption of moisture from the air. Delirious, raving. Delude, to mislead the mind or judgment of. Deluge, to overwhelm with a flood of water. Delusion, mistaken conviction, especially when more or less enduring. Demagnetize, to deprive, a magnet, of magnetism. Demagogue, an unprincipled politician. Demeanor, deportment. Demented, insane. Demerit, a mark for failure or bad conduct. Demise, death. Demobilize, to disband as troops. Demolish, to annihilate. Demonstrable, capable of positive proof. Demonstrate, to prove indubitably. Demonstrative, inclined to strong exhibition or expression of feeling or thoughts. Demonstrator, one who proves in a convincing and conclusive manner. Demulcent, any application soothing to an irritable surface. Demurrage, the detention of a vessel beyond the specified time of sailing. Dendroid, like a tree. Dendrology, the natural history of trees. Denizen, inhabitant. Denominate, to give a name or epithet to. Denomination, a body of Christians united by a common faith and form of worship and discipline. Denominator, part of a fraction which expresses the number of equal parts into which the unit is divided. Denote, to designate by word or mark. Denouement, that part of a play or story in which the mystery is cleared up. Denounce, to point out or publicly accuse as deserving of punishment, censure, or odium. Dentifrice, any preparation used for cleaning the teeth. Denude, to strip the covering from. Denunciation, the act of declaring an action or person worthy of reprobation or punishment. Deplete, to reduce or lessen as by use, exhaustion, or waste. Deplorable, contemptible. Deplore, to regard with grief or sorrow. Deponent, laying down. Depopulate, to remove the inhabitants from. Deport, to take or send away forcibly as to a penal colony. Deportment, demeanor. Deposition, testimony legally taken on interrogations and reduced to writing for use as evidence in court. Depositor, one who makes a deposit or has an amount deposited. Depository, a place where anything is kept in safety. Deprave, to render bad, especially morally bad. Deprecate, to express disapproval or regret for, with hope for the opposite. Depreciate, to lessen the worth of. Depreciation, a lowering in value or an underrating in worth. Depress, to press down. Depression, a falling of the spirits. Depth, deepness. Derelict, neglectful of obligation. Deride, to ridicule. Derisible, open to ridicule. Derision, ridicule. Derivation, that process by which a word is traced from its original root or primitive form and meaning. Derivative, coming or acquired from some origin. Derive, to deduce as from a premise. Dermatology, the branch of medical science which relates to the skin and its diseases. Derrick, an apparatus for hoisting and swinging great weights. Descendant, one who is descended lineally from another, as a child, grandchild, etc. Descendant, proceeding downward. Descent, the act of to abandon without regard to the welfare of the abandoned. Desiccant, any remedy which, when applied externally, dries up or absorbs moisture, as that of wounds. Designate, to select or appoint, as by authority. Desist, to cease from action. Desistance, cessation. Despair, utter hopelessness and despondency. Desperado, one without regard for law or life. Desperate, resorted to in a last extremity, or as if prompted by utter despair. Despicable, contemptible. Despite, in spite of. Despond, to lose spirit, courage, or hope. Despondent, disheartened. Despot, an absolute and irresponsible monarch. Despotism, any severe and strict rule in which the judgment of the governed has little or no part. Destitute, poverty-stricken. Desultory, not connected with what precedes. Deter, to frighten away. Deteriorate, to grow worse. Determinate, definitely limited or fixed. Determination, the act of deciding. Deterrent, hindering from action through fear. Detest, to dislike or hate with intensity. Detract, to take away in such a manner as to lessen value or estimation. Detriment, something that causes damage, depreciation, or loss. Detrude, to push down forcibly. Deviate, to take a different course. Devilry, malicious mischief. Deviltry, wanton and malicious mischief. Devious, out of the common or regular track. Devise, to invent. Devout, religious. Dexterity, readiness, precision, efficiency, and ease in any physical activity or in any mechanical work. Diabolic, characteristic of the devil. Diacritical, marking a difference. Diagnose, to distinguish as a disease by its characteristic phenomena. Diagnosis, determination of the distinctive nature of a disease. Dialect, forms of speech collectively that are peculiar to the people of a particular district. Dialectician, a logician. Dialogue, a formal conversation in which two or more take part. Diaphanous, transparent. Diatomic, containing only two atoms. Diatribe, a bitter or malicious criticism. Dictum, a positive utterance. Didactic, pertaining to teaching. Difference, dissimilarity in any respect. Differentia, any essential characteristic of a species by reason of which it differs from other species. Differential, distinctive. Differentiate, to acquire a distinct and separate character. Diffidence, self-distrust. Diffident, affected or possessed with self-distrust. Diffusible, spreading rapidly through the system and acting quickly. Diffusion, dispersion. Dignitary, one who holds high rank. Digraph, a union of two characters representing a single sound. Digress, to turn aside from the main subject and for a time dwell on some incidental matter. Dilapidated, fallen into decay or partial ruin. Dilate, to enlarge in all directions. Dilatory, tending to cause delay. Dilemma, a situation in which a choice between opposing modes of conduct is necessary. Dilettante, a superficial amateur. Diligence, careful and persevering effort to accomplish what is undertaken. Dilute, to make more fluid or less concentrated by admixture with something. Diminution, reduction. Dimly, obscurely. Diphthong, the sound produced by combining two vowels into a single syllable or running together the sounds. Diplomacy, tact, shrewdness, or skill in conducting any kind of negotiations or in social matters. Diplomat, a representative of one sovereign state at the capital or court of another. Diplomatic, characterized by special tact in negotiations. Diplomatist, one remarkable for tact and shrewd management. Disagree, to be opposite in opinion. Disallow, to withhold permission or sanction. Disappear, to cease to exist, either actually or for the time being. Disappoint, to fail to fulfill the expectation, hope, wish, or desire of. Disapprove, to regard with blame. Disarm, to deprive of weapons. Disarrange, to throw out of order. Disavow, to disclaim responsibility for. Disavowal, denial. Disbeliever, one who refuses to believe. Disburden, to disencumber. Disburse, to pay out or expend as money from a fund. Discard, to reject. Discernible, perceivable. Disciple, one who believes the teaching of another or who adopts and follows some doctrine. Disciplinary, having the nature of systematic training or subjection to authority. Discipline, to train to obedience. Disclaim, to disavow any claim to, connection with, or responsibility to. Discolor, to stain. Discomfit, to put to confusion. Discomfort, the state of being positively uncomfortable. Disconnect, to undo or dissolve the connection or association of. Disconsolate, grief-stricken. Discontinuance, interruption or intermission. Discord, absence of harmoniousness. Discountenance, to look upon with disfavor. Discover, to get first sight or knowledge of, as something previously unknown or unperceived. Discredit, to injure the reputation of. Discreet, judicious. Discrepant, opposite. Discriminate, to draw a distinction. Discursive, passing from one subject to another. Discussion, debate. Disenfranchise, to deprive of any right, privilege, or power. Disengage, to become detached. Disfavor, disregard. Disfigure, to impair or injure the beauty, symmetry, or appearance of. Dishabille, undress or negligent attire. Dishonest, untrustworthy. Disillusion, to disenchant. Disinfect, to remove or destroy the poison of infectious or contagious diseases. Disinfectant, a substance used to destroy the germs of infectious diseases. Disinherit, to deprive of an inheritance. Disinterested, impartial. Disjunctive, helping or serving to disconnect or separate. Dislocate, to put out of proper place or order. Dismissal, displacement by authority from an office or an employment. Dismount, to throw down, push off, or otherwise remove from a horse or the like. Disobedience, neglect or refusal to comply with an authoritative injunction. Disobedient, neglecting or refusing to obey. Disown, to refuse to acknowledge as one's own or as connected with oneself. Disparage, to regard or speak of slightingly. Disparity, inequality. Dispel, to drive away by or as by scattering in different directions. Dispensation, that which is bestowed on or appointed to one from a higher power. Displace, to put out of the proper or accustomed place. Dispossess, to deprive of actual occupancy, especially of real estate. Disputation, verbal controversy. Disqualify, to debar. Disquiet, to deprive of peace or tranquility. Disregard, to take no notice of. Disreputable, dishonorable or disgraceful. Disrepute, a bad name or character. Disrobe, to unclothe. Disrupt, to burst or break asunder. Dissatisfy, to displease. Dissect, to cut apart or to pieces. Dissection, the act or operation of cutting in pieces, specifically of a plant or an animal. Dissemble, to hide by pretending something different. Disseminate, to sow or scatter abroad, as seed is sown. Dissension, angry or violent difference of opinion. Dissent, disagreement. Dissentient, one who disagrees. Dissentious, contentious. Dissertation, thesis. Disservice, an ill turn. Dissever, to divide. Dissimilar, different. Dissipate, to disperse or disappear. Dissipation, the state of being dispersed or scattered. Dissolute, lewd. Dissolution, a breaking up of a union of persons. Dissolve, to liquefy or soften, as by heat or moisture. Dissonance, discord. Dissonant, harsh or disagreeable in sound. Dissuade, to change the purpose of or alter the plans of by persuasion, counsel, or pleading. Dissuasion, the act of changing the purpose of or altering the plans of through persuasion or pleading. Dissyllable, a word of two syllables. Distemper, a disease or malady. Distend, to stretch out or expand in every direction. Distensible, capable of being stretched out or expanded in every direction. Distension, expansion. Distill, to extract or produce by vaporization and condensation. Distillation, separation of the more volatile parts of a substance from those less volatile. Distiller, one occupied in the business of distilling alcoholic liquors. Distinction, a note or a designation of honor officially recognizing superiority or success in studies. Distort, to twist into an unnatural or irregular form. Distrain, to subject a person to distress. Distrainer, one who subjects a person to distress. Distraught, bewildered. Distrust, lack of confidence in the power, wisdom, or good intent of any person. Disunion, separation of relations or interests. Diurnal, daily. Divagation, digression. Divergent, tending in different directions. Diverse, capable of various forms. Diversion, pastime. Diversity, dissimilitude. Divert, to turn from the accustomed course or line of action already established. Divertible, able to be turned from the accustomed course or line of action already established. Divest, to strip specifically of clothes, ornaments, or accoutrements, or disinvestment. Divination, the pretended forecast of future events or discovery of what is lost or hidden. Divinity, the quality or character of being godlike. Divisible, capable of being separated into parts. Divisor, that by which a number or quantity is divided. Divulge, to talk or make known as something previously private or secret. Divulgence, a divulging. Docile, easy to manage. Docket, the registry of judgments of a court. Doe, the female of the deer. Dogma, a statement of religious faith or duty formulated by a body claiming authority. Dogmatic, making statements without argument or evidence. Dogmatize, to make positive assertions without supporting them by argument or evidence. Doleful, melancholy. Dolesome, melancholy. Dolor, lamentation. Dolorous, expressing or causing sorrow or pain. Domain, a sphere or field of action or interest. Domesticity, life in or fondness for one's home and family. Domicile, the place where one lives. Dominance, ascendancy. Dominant, conspicuously prominent. Dominate, to influence controllingly. Domination, control by the exercise of power or constituted authority. Domineer, to rule with insolence or unnecessary annoyance. Donate, to bestow as a gift, especially for a worthy cause. Donator, one who makes a donation or present. Donee, a person to whom a donation is made. Donor, one who makes a donation or present. Dormant, being in a state of or resembling sleep. Doublet, one of a pair of like things. Doubly, in twofold degree or extent. Dowry, the property which a wife brings to her husband in marriage. Drachma, a modern and an ancient Greek coin. Dragnet, a net to be drawn along the bottom of the water. Dragoon, in the British Army, a cavalryman. Drainage, the means of draining collectively, as a system of conduits, trenches, pipes, etc. Dramatist, one who writes plays. Dramatize, to relate or represent in a dramatic or theatrical manner. Drastic, acting vigorously. Drought, dry weather, especially when so long continued as to cause vegetation to wither. Drowsy, heavy with drudgery, hard and constant work in any menial or dull occupation. Dubious, doubtful. Duckling, a young duck. Ductile, capable of being drawn out, as into wire or a thread. Duet, a composition for two voices or instruments. Done, to make a demand or repeated demands on for payment. Duplex, having two parts. Duplicity, double dealing. Durance, confinement. Duration, the period of time during which anything lasts. Duteous, showing submission to natural superiors. Dutiable, subject to a duty, especially a customs duty. Dutiful, obedient. Dwindle, to diminish or become less. Dyne, the force which, applied to a mass of 1 gram for 1 second, would give it a velocity of 1 centimeter per second.